For 75 years, the United States government had one consistent message about UFOs. They don't exist, and anyone who thinks they do is crazy. Then, on April 27, 2020, everything changed. The Pentagon officially released 3 videos showing objects performing maneuvers that defied the laws of physics. Objects tracked by military radar, witnessed by trained pilots, and captured on infrared cameras. The same government that had spent decades ridiculing UFO witnesses was now admitting they were real. But this wasn't sudden transparency. This was the culmination of a 75-year campaign of secrecy, disinformation, and gradual disclosure. A campaign that began in 1947 with a weather balloon in Roswell and ended with Congress demanding answers about technologies that might not be from this world. The question isn't whether UFOs are real anymore. The question is, what took them so long to tell us? The modern UFO era began on June 24, 1947, when pilot Kenneth Arnold spotted 9 objects flying in formation near Mount Rainier. He described their movement as like saucers skipping across water. The press coined the term flying saucers, and UFO mania was born. Just weeks later came Roswell. On July 8, 1947, the Roswell Army Airfield issued a press release stating they had recovered a flying disc. The next day, military officials retracted the statement, claiming it was actually a weather balloon. For decades, that was the official story. But we now know the truth was more complex. The debris was from Project Mogul, a classified program to detect Soviet nuclear tests using high-altitude balloons. The military couldn't reveal the real purpose without compromising national security, so they let the UFO story persist. This set the pattern for everything that followed. When faced with unexplained aerial phenomena, the government's default response was denial, ridicule, and disinformation. In 1952, the Air Force launched Project Blue Book to investigate UFO reports. Officially, it was a scientific study. In reality, it was a public relations exercise designed to debunk sightings and calm public fears. Dr. J. Allen Hynek, the project's scientific consultant, later admitted the fix was in from the beginning. The Air Force had already decided that UFOs didn't exist. He said, "My job was to find conventional explanations, no matter how unlikely." Over 17 years, Blue Book investigated 12,618 UFO reports. They explained away 12,617 of them as weather balloons, swamp gas, Venus, or mass hallucinations. Only 701 cases remained unidentified, a carefully chosen word that avoided admitting these might be extraterrestrial. But behind the scenes, something else was happening. The CIA's Robertson Panel, convened in 1953, recommended a policy of debunking UFO reports to prevent mass hysteria. They worried that UFO sightings could clog communication channels during a Soviet attack. The panel's recommendations became official policy: ridicule witnesses, explain away sightings, and maintain absolute secrecy about any cases that couldn't be debunked. Project Blue Book officially ended in 1969 with the Condon Report, which concluded that UFO study had no scientific value. The Air Force announced it was no longer investigating UFO reports. This was a lie. Declassified documents later revealed that military and intelligence agencies continued investigating UFOs through various classified programs. They just stopped talking about it publicly. For the next 40 years, the official position remained unchanged. UFOs weren't real. The government wasn't studying them, and anyone who claimed otherwise was delusional. Meanwhile, witnesses kept coming forward. Military personnel, commercial pilots, radar operators, credible people with incredible stories. The government's response was always the same: deny, debunk, discredit. The first crack in the wall of secrecy came in 2007 when former Pentagon official Luis Elizondo went public about a classified UFO program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AT. Elizondo revealed that the Pentagon had been secretly studying UFOs since 2007, spending $22 million on the program. He resigned in protest over what he called the government's excessive secrecy surrounding the issue. In December 2017, the New York Times published a bombshell article revealing ATP's existence and releasing the first of 3 now famous videos, FLIR 1, Gimbal, and Go Fast. These videos showed objects performing maneuvers that seemed to violate known physics. The Pentagon's response was telling. They didn't deny the video's authenticity. They didn't claim they were classified. They simply said the videos showed unidentified aerial phenomena and left it at that. What happened next was unprecedented. In April 2020, the Pentagon officially released the 3 videos, confirming their authenticity. For the first time in 75 years, the U.S. government admitted that unidentified objects were operating in American airspace. The real bombshell came in June 2021 with the release of the UAP Task Force Report to Congress. The 9-page document acknowledged 144 UAP encounters by military personnel since 2004. It could only explain one of them. The report's conclusions were stunning. These objects demonstrated unusual flight characteristics and might represent breakthrough technologies by foreign adversaries, or something else entirely. Congress wasn't satisfied with 9 pages. In 2022, they established the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AAIR, and mandated regular public hearings on UAP encounters. The hearings have been revelatory. Military officials have testified about objects that can hover motionless, accelerate instantly to hypersonic speeds, and transition seamlessly between air and water. Objects that show no visible means of propulsion and emit no heat signatures. In July 2023, former intelligence officer David Grush testified before Congress that the U.S. government has recovered non-human craft and biological materials. His claims remain unverified, but they represent a seismic shift in the conversation. Social media platforms, particularly X, formerly Twitter, have amplified these revelations. Videos of congressional hearings go viral. Leaked documents spread instantly. The government can no longer control the narrative the way it did for decades. Today, we're in an unprecedented situation. The same government that spent 75 years denying UFOs exist is now admitting they're real and asking for help understanding them. But questions remain. Why the sudden transparency? Are these objects foreign technology, natural phenomena, or something else entirely? And why did it take 3/4 of a century to acknowledge what thousands of witnesses had been reporting all along? Some researchers believe the disclosure is strategic, a way to prepare the public for even more shocking revelations. Others think it's damage control, an attempt to get ahead of leaks and maintain some control over the narrative. The history of UFO disclosure is really the history of government secrecy and the power of public pressure to force transparency. For 75 years, officials maintained that UFOs were impossible. Witnesses were unreliable, and the government had no interest in the phenomenon. We now know all of that was false. The government has been studying UFOs continuously since 1947. They've had documented objects with capabilities that exceed our current understanding of physics. And they've kept it secret from the American people for 3/4 of a century. The disclosure process isn't complete. We still don't know what these objects are, where they come from, or what they want, but we've crossed a threshold. The age of denial is over. The age of investigation has begun. Whether that leads to answers about extraterrestrial visitation, breakthrough human technology, or something else entirely remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The truth, whatever it is finally starting to emerge from the shadows. What do you think drove the government's sudden shift toward transparency? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this timeline of UFO disclosure, subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that challenge our understanding of reality. Until next time, keep watching the skies.